back on Take a Look, the EPP's interview series on digital policy and what an ambitious policy agenda should look like. In these episodes, we look at how the EPP family members are leading the charge on this, and today we're going to take a look with An Hermans. An Hermans, welcome and thank you so much for joining us today on Take a Look. You are the president of the European Seniors Union. This is an umbrella organization of seniors associations from all over Europe. And it's also a member association of the EPP. And in your work, you're empowering the leading persons of your associations and actively promoting senior citizens' rights and senior-related issues throughout Europe. So I'm very pleased to welcome you today on Take a Look.
Thank you very much. I would also thank you for this interview because for me it's a sign that the EPP and you don't only look at users or people producing internet and so on, but also at the users. We are a very specific users group, I think, and therefore I am very glad because it means also that you really go to human-centered digital society, to a better society and so on, and we like it.
Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure. So we know the EU wants to ensure that we leave no one behind in the digital transition, and we often talk about how to solve the digital divide in terms of the inequalities between social classes, between territories, but we sometimes seem to overlook the generational gap as well in terms of lack of access, lack of information, the lack of ease of use for senior people especially, and that can impact the ability of seniors in particular to also benefit from those great digital technologies and also their ability to deal with the risks and maybe the challenges that these tools come with. And this is also why we wanted to do this interview with you, to put in the spotlight that specific type of digital inequality, but also the opportunities and the challenges of the technology. So the first question I'd like to get to with you is, technologies are changing all lives, including that of senior people, in housing, healthcare, education, and work situations. I'd like to start by asking you your thoughts on what are some of those difficulties specific to senior people, in terms of those digital inequalities. And at the same time, maybe you could mention a couple of good examples showing that the technology is also an opportunity for them.
Thank you. And I would like to highlight that when you speak about seniors and that the senior, the elderly don't exist. It's a very, very different group. There are seniors using internet and using digital communication very, very much. There are even passionate gamers and so on. But in general, and it is also visual in different surveys, at least when over 70 persons are taken into account in the surveys, because sometimes we see that it's only about people from 20 to 70, and moreover, I have seen already that on the use of digital communication, the questions are sent are sent online. So how do you want to know if people have difficulties? And yes, in general, older persons have difficulties. And when you say which are the difficulties, yes, it's a question of skills. It's a question of skills, but not only of skills. Because older people my age and older, I remember very, very well when I started. I was almost 50 before I had a secretary, so everything was all right. But then at once I thought, I have to do it myself. I have to know it myself. And then you see that you're really step by step, learning step by step like a child. Learns to write and read and so on and so on. And that is what a lot of older people are missing. And then when we say at this moment, and we have seen it during the pandemic, how important this digital communication is. It's a question of access also, and it's a complexity of several reasons and factors and so on. Skills, also knowledge, the whole media environment. It's also very often about low income. So it's a complexity of factors, and therefore it's important that we go to seniors, go to the group and help them to make the bridge to this world of digital communication. And when you ask me some opportunities, then I would say, first of all, connectivity. Connectivity is very important in different fields, in different areas, for friends, for colleagues, and so on, but also to get information, to get involved with civil services, public services, and so on. So this connectivity, it's a real key, because also when we see now I look to the conference, the Future of Europe, there is a digital platform. So also the whole our society, democracy and so on, it uses digital communication, and therefore I often say it's a human right to be included in the digital society. It is a human right for everyone, also for seniors, not only during their professional life, but also after the professional period for well-being. So I think that this is very important. There are several other opportunities also in the whole area of health and assisted living, robots and so on. But connectivity is, I think, the most important.
Thank you so much. I think you've given so much more meaning to this term we sometimes use, just digital inclusion. I think this connectivity and being able to ensure that seniors are not excluded or isolated, because those technologies also enable inclusion. So it's an interesting link you're making. I wanted to ask you about this declaration that the European Seniors Union published. It's a statement on older persons and digital inclusion in today's information society. And you're proposing several operational actions in this statement. Did you want to perhaps share some of those ideas with us today?
Yes, I have it here with me. It's a whole list. But one of the most important aspects we have to look at is, I think, that it's not a question of one government. It's not a question of the EU. It's not a question of only the member states. It's a question of it's time to act all together, societies, associations, and also local governments and the EU can stimulate, especially in this recovery period, I think. There are also financial possibilities to create better access, also in rural areas, to give people the adapted, the appropriate possibilities and the knowledge, and also the skills to help them. And very often you see where it is a success. It is very often that some younger people make some duos, make some couples, people together, working together, so that they really can make some progress in it. And I said already, it's not only a question of skills and access, it's also a question of understand a little bit the media environment. What does it mean? What's social media? Well, what can they offer? Which are the gaps and the difficulties? And also the whole environment of media. Very often we speak about human rights for journalists, and of course it's important, and the freedom of media and so on. But it's also important for our democracy. So people, older persons, have to get the opportunities to learn how that you can organize it and how that you do it. It's a question of creativity in the local situations.
That's very true, and I think we often say knowledge empowers people, and I think that also applies online as much as it applies offline. Thank you so much, An Hermans. It was wonderful to speak with you. I have one last question for you. It's, as our audience knows, a bit of an informal question. We'd be very curious to know if you have a favorite app or a favorite book or a favorite company in tech.
Yes, I have. And maybe it's a little bit surprising, but I brought a book. And it is a book from Dr. de Ketelaere. She wrote it in Dutch, and it's translated in French and in English. It is Artificial Intelligence Demystified is the title. It's so nice.
Great title.
She always start from very concrete, very practical situations, experiences, and then she takes you on a journey to the horizon, and there she explained as well the history as the complexity and also the future of artificial intelligence. When I started reading, I thought, it's written for me. It's really a very nice book.
I actually had the chance to read it as well, and it's so easy to read and very accessible, and it's a wonderful book. So thank you so much for bringing it up today, and also for mentioning all those very important points and issues when it comes to the digital world and seniors. Thank you so much, An Hermans, and thank you all for watching us on Take a Look, and we'll see you again very soon. Thank you.